Now let's head to the server-side implementation. First, necessary imports. We're going to import Numpy. We also need the JSON utility to interpret incoming JSON from our REST client. Remember that the Numpy array generated from OpenCV loading the image on the client side is sent as a JSON payload. And we need to import codecs library to be able to encode our bytes in the Numpy array that's received here. The name of the method here is upload_img array, and we want to set it to route to /img array in the URL whenever the client invokes the HTTP post method. So let's recover the array, which is going to be stored in the ARR variable. So we're going to use the from string utility of the Numpy library to access the payload pointed to by the ARR attribute in the incoming JSON. And then we're going to encode that array of bytes using ISO 88591 codec. Remember, the client used the same codec to decode the bytes before sending over. So we want to use the same codec here. We want to use data type integer, and we want to shape the incoming array as a 2700 by 2700 dimension matrix corresponding to 2700 by 2700 pixels in the original PNG file or the image file that was sent by the client. Let's set up some important variables to flag whether the server-side execution was successful or not. The return underscore message holds the server response message that we want to set from the implementation of this method. So let's run the program on the client side. I've already launched the app on the Android Studio, and here you can see the GUI. So I'm going to press the button here, and that's looks like the application sent the request over to the server. The shape of the loaded image is a Numpy array of dimensions 2700 by 2700. This image was loaded by OpenCV, but we also see that the request sent to the server met with an HTTP 413. So this is an error. So our Android client received from the HTTP REST server an HTTP 413 content too large response status. This status code indicates that the size of the Numpy array our Android client sent is larger than the limits defined by the server. Let's try to send a smaller Numpy array from the Android client just to see if the server accepts it without any error. So let's add the Numpy array and fill it with random integers. This Numpy array would be of dimension 10 by 10, a really small integer array. And instead of OpenCV image, which was a large Numpy array, which ran into an HTTP error, we're going to try and send a small Numpy array of size 10 by 10. Let's make server-side adjustments to accommodate the 10 by 10 array that the client is about to send. Let's rebuild the server. Let's test the APK for the 10 by 10 Numpy array. Okay, so this time we got a success response from the HTTP post message. Shape of the loaded image is just 10 by 10. Let's head over to the server side, look at the server logs. Okay, the server was able to load the 10 by 10 array successfully. So we can see that with this approach, there is a limitation in that you cannot send to the server large Numpy arrays which are generated from larger images. What if you needed to send large images? Practically speaking, it is quite common that projects need to send large images. Watch this video for a better alternative to use OpenCV without the limitations of smaller images.